The Atlanta Falcons suffered their biggest loss in over 3 years on Sunday, losing 38-6 to the Denver Broncos. It was tough for the entire team to swallow, but amid the frustration and disappointment, there were some glimmers of hope, and one of them came from the most unlikely of places. Let's break it down, but first, be sure to hit that like button so I can keep you updated. Let's get to it. Now, let's break it down. Penix, who had only seen a smattering of action in the season opener against the Seattle Seahawks, made his second NFL appearance in Sunday's loss. The circumstances weren't ideal. The Falcons were already trailing by a wide margin, with the game all but out of reach. But Penix's presence in the game still gave us something to talk about, even if the coach wasn't particularly focused on his performance. Falcons head coach Raheem Morris, who drafted Penix in April with the number 8 overall pick, downplayed his rookie quarterback's time on the field. After the game, Morris said, "Michael Penix took us out of the game that was and got away from us. He did a good job of doing that. It's nothing to say about what Michael Penix did. Harsh words? Maybe. But Morris was understandably focused on the big picture after a devastating loss. Penix entered the game with about 9 minutes left in the fourth quarter. By that point, the Falcons were already down 32 points, and starter Kirk Cousins was struggling to do much with just 173 passing yards to his name. So let's take a closer look at what Penix did when he came in. In his limited time, just 13 snaps, Penix went 2 of 4 for 24 yards. On his first pass, he fired a strike to receiver Ray McLeod for a solid 20-yard gain. His next completion came on a 4th and 2 play, connecting with Kaderil Hodge for a 4-yard pickup. It wasn't a spectacle, but it was solid, efficient football under difficult circumstances. But Penix's first incompletion was a bit of a heartbreaker. He attempted a deep ball to rookie receiver Casey Washington, who took a hit to the head and was forced to leave the game. It was a well-thrown ball, though, and Penix showed some good instincts by using his eyes to freeze the safety and give Washington a chance. Unfortunately, the pass just slipped out of his hands. The second incompletion was a quick receiver screen that the Broncos defense sniffed out, forcing Penix to throw it to the ground. And then, on the final drive of the game, the Falcons just ran the ball, trying to run out the clock and move on from what had been a brutal day. Look, there's no sugarcoating this loss. It was ugly, and it exposed a lot of the weaknesses we've been seeing all season. But in a year full of ups and downs, Penix's performance offers a glimmer of hope for the future. While his 13 snaps didn't change the outcome of the game, they did remind us why he was so highly regarded as a draft pick. The kid has a strong arm, he's accurate, and his decision-making has looked solid whenever he's had the chance to shine. Now, let's talk about the bigger picture. Penix's performance doesn't change the fact that Kirk Cousins is the starting quarterback for now. Cousins, who has 3 more years left on his contract, is still the guy the Falcons are leaning on. But Penix's emergence is definitely something to keep an eye on. It's clear that the Falcons have a bright future at quarterback, even if that future isn't quite yet. Kirk Cousins himself had some thoughts on Penix's growth. After the game, Cousins said, "He's doing a great job, a hard worker, and our quarterback room has always been working together from day one to help each other grow. Not just one person, but all trying to get better every single day together." That's the kind of mentorship Penix needs as he continues to develop. Now, let's switch gears and talk about the bigger issues facing the Falcons right now. The team's loss to the Broncos was a wake-up call, but it's also a reminder of how important these last 6 games of the regular season are. The Falcons are still sitting at 6-5, with a 1.5-game lead over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for the NFC South crown. They hold the tiebreaker, but things can change quickly in the NFL. Kirk Cousins had a few words of wisdom after Sunday's loss, particularly about the mindset the team needs heading into their bye week. "Each game is its own entity," Cousins said. "There has to be this ability to separate each game from the previous one, from the next one, and just go play that game regardless of what has transpired. When you start to bring in the previous game, the high of the previous game or the low, sometimes that can set you back either way. It's easy to get stuck in the emotions of a tough loss, but Cousins is right. The Falcons need to shake off this defeat and focus on the next 6 games, one at a time. The NFC South is still very much in play, but the Falcons can't afford to let this loss snowball. The Buccaneers are just a game and a half behind, and they'll have an easier schedule down the stretch. The Falcons, on the other hand, face some tough opponents in December, including the Los Angeles Chargers, Minnesota Vikings, and Washington Commanders. So, Falcons fans, what do you think? Is Penix's future with the team looking brighter after his brief stint against the Broncos? Can the Falcons bounce back from this tough loss and make a strong push for the NFC South title? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. But it wasn't just the score that got people talking. It was the shocking performance of the Falcons defense that drew a fierce response from one of the franchise's all-time greats, John Abraham. For those who may not remember, John Abraham is a legend in Atlanta. He's second on the Falcons' all-time sack list with 68.5 sacks, including a monster 16.5 sacks in 2008. So when he talks about defense, we listen. And after Sunday's debacle, Abraham didn't hold back in his thoughts on what's wrong with the Falcons' defense. Speaking with Maria Martin on 11 Alive News, Abraham was blunt about what he saw. When I saw this team today, and I'm a fan, listening to the fans, they can see, what are they doing? If we have to ask what they're doing, they have to ask themselves the same question, Abraham said, clearly frustrated. The biggest issue Abraham highlighted? The performance of the defensive line and, specifically, Grady Jarrett. Jarrett, who is one of the heart and soul players on this defense, was seen running 10 yards downfield trying to make tackles. Abraham called it embarrassing and emphasized that it wasn't just one player's fault, it was a team-wide issue. The play that caught Abraham's, and many fans', attention was the Broncos' screen pass to Marvin Mims just before halftime. Jarrett was the first defender to touch Mims, but it was a 12-yard catch and run that ended with Mims in the end zone, extending Denver's lead to 21-6. Abraham pointed out that these types of plays, in which defenders appear out of position and disjointed, signal a much deeper problem. It's a team thing, Abraham said. To play fast, physical, hard football, you have to know the person inside out. You have to know what's going on. You have to know the teams they're playing against. It's clear that Abraham believes the Falcons' defense isn't playing with the right mindset or execution. Abraham also highlighted what he saw as a disconnect between defensive coordinator Jimmy Lake and the players. He criticized the Broncos' game plan, saying it was poorly executed and didn't play to the defense's strengths. The Falcons played a soft zone defense with a 3-ball coverage and a blitzing linebacker, which Abraham pointed out was ineffective against Denver's quick passing attack. And it's not just the game plan. Abraham hinted at a lack of trust between the defensive players and the coaching staff that could be eating away at the defense's core. My schedule has changed, Abraham said of the upcoming bye week. Whatever time I have, vacation time, any time I have off, I'm going to be out there watching film, trying to connect with my teammates, because right now, they don't have a connection. The message here is clear. The Falcons need to regroup and reconnect during this bye week, both with each other and with their coaching staff, if they want to turn things around before it's too late. The mood in the Falcons locker room after the loss was equally intense. Linebacker Caden Ellis spoke to Fox 5's Justin Felder and didn't sugarcoat his feelings. When asked about the team's mindset after such a devastating loss, Ellis said, "Holy shit, but we're going to let it feed us. We're going to let the leaders go and let it get angry for greatness." This brash attitude is exactly what the Falcons need as they head into their bye week. There's a lot of introspection to be done. The Falcons have shown flashes of greatness this season, but the last few weeks have been a struggle, especially on defense. The question now is this passive, soft team we've seen over the last 6 weeks who they want to be? The Falcons' next game is on December 1st, when they return to Mercedes-Benz Stadium to take on the Los Angeles Chargers. It's a tough matchup against a talented team led by Justin Herbert, but this is the perfect opportunity for the Falcons to show that they made the necessary adjustments during their bye week. So, Falcons fans, we want to hear from you. What do you think? Is the defense broken? Or can they turn things around? Do you agree with John Abraham's criticisms? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, don't forget to hit that like button if you haven't already, and make sure you're subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any updates. This is a pivotal point in the season for our Falcons, and you'll want to stay up to date with all the latest news and analysis. Go Falcons!